a lot of these guys are dying off, and the younger crowd, it's hard to get them into this kind of thing because everything costs so dang much, right? This is a product, $770, and it's all you need. Just add your speakers and cables, and you have a really kickin' first system. Welcome back, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to all who left such beautiful comments in my last video about my Niagara journey. Truly appreciate it. I spent hours trying to reply to each and every one of you, but the comments kept coming in. So I want to thank you all for the comments, the support, the gifts, and the kind words. You are all appreciated. Now, today I have something that I talked about in that video that was coming on Thursday, and today's Thursday. I'm talking about the brand new Eversolo Play. Now, this is an all-in-one device, right? So it has a streamer, a DAC, and an amplifier all in one beautiful box. And this box is made of metal. It has a high-resolution touchscreen that is beautiful. I think it's the same screen that is on the A6 Gen 2 Master Edition. Touchscreen, bright, clear, really, really nice. I can see it from across the room because they now have a wide, big display that shows the album art, and it's easy to read. You still have the VU meters here. You still have the audio analyzer here in the display. Now, this has an AKM DAC chip in it, and I prefer AKM DAC chips versus any other off-the-shelf chip. They seem to have usually a more analog vibe to them, and they call their technology Velvet Sound. So we have this device, it's all in one. It looks a lot like the WIM Amp Pro in its shape and size, and I think Eversolo kind of copied that a little bit because it is the same form factor. The front, you have the screen, and you have a volume dial, which also serves as an on and off button. That volume dial has a halo light around it that you can turn on or off. You can also turn the screen on or off. Now, the amp section delivers 80 watts per channel into 8 ohms. This is a Class D amplifier. And I think 110 watts or 120, one of those is right, into 4 ohms. I would have loved to have seen 200 in the 4 ohms and 108, but this is what Eversolo put in. And I'll talk about testing it with various speakers. This also has room correction built in. It takes about 5 minutes to set up for your room. And for me, it did improve the sound. So who is the main competition? Before I get into all the details and the sound quality, the main competition for Eversolo is WIM. As you guys may know, WIM came out with the WIM Ultra last year. I positively reviewed it because it was $329. It was a streaming DAC without an amp. And at the time, it was really the first of its kind. Now, WIM also released the VibeLink amp that I've had here for several weeks. So I was able to compare the Ultra and the VibeLink to the Eversolo. The connectors on the back of the Eversolo are much more solid than the WIM. I've told you guys my first WIM Ultra, one of the coax inputs on the back just caved in after a few cable swaps because those inputs on the back of the WIM are a little flimsy. The ones on the back of the Eversolo are super solid. I don't have to worry about those connections coming loose. You have your speaker binding posts, which are of decent quality. They're not of high-end quality, but they're of good quality, especially for the price point of this piece. You have a subwoofer out, a coax out, a USB out if you want to go to a higher-end DAC. I did try it with the Live Harmony Micro DAC, and it did improve the sound by quite a bit, but I want to review this as an all-in-one, all on its own. But you do have that capability of going to an external DAC. You have a phono stage here that has not only a moving magnet section, but a moving coil section. I tested it with my U-Turn Orbit SE, sounded beautiful. You also have HDMI ARC here and an optical input as well as a coaxial input. So this is really a box with everything one needs in it to not only stream music instantly, but also play vinyl if that is your preferred media choice. So we're off to the races right here. Eversolo's on fire. They nailed it in the build quality. They nailed it with that screen on the front. It's beautiful, it's large, it's bright, it's crystal clear. It kind of makes the display of the WHIM Ultra look like it was made in 1987. And I know that sounds like an exaggeration, and it is, but the screen on the Eversolo Play is beautiful. Also, real quick, Eversolo did also release a model with a CD drive on it. If you have CDs or would like to go buy CDs at a used record store, I used to go to Zia Records in Phoenix, and they had so many CDs at bargain prices. So if that's something you want to explore, they do have the CD version of this amplifier. Now, the version I have here is the Play. It's for streaming. It comes in at $770 US. I feel it would have been something like $599 if it were not for these tariffs, but this is the world we live in today. Even at $770, you're getting a heck of a lot for your money, not only in the features, the phono stages, the DAC inside, the AKM DAC inside, the amplifier inside, the streamer inside, the screen, the app. The app has been improved, actually. Eversolo changed the app, and it's easier to use than ever. It still has the cast feature. You can cast it to your phone. You can change the EQ in there. You can do the room correction with the app. The app is fully featured and very smooth and responsive and easy to use. I still think Eversolo has the best app experience of any streamer made, no matter the cost of said streamer. So that's very, very cool as well. With this box, all you need are some speaker cables and a pair of speakers. Now, I would not recommend hard to drive speakers with this amp. We'll get that right out of the way. This is, again, 80 watts per channel into 8 ohms, just over 100 watts into 4 ohms. I tried it with 4 speakers that I have here, some ELAC DB63s, which are $500 and are right in line with the price point of the Play. I tried it with my Pure Audio Project Duet 15s because they are really easy to drive. I have the horn version set up. The Icon 12s are easy to drive, and I finally tried it with the Bucard E50s. Now, one thing I'd like to say up front is I wish they would have included the Eversolo remote control with this. I think it would have been the icing on the cake. As it is, it doesn't come with one, but you can buy the Eversolo remote from Amazon for about $12. I always have an Eversolo remote here, so I was able to use it, but it's really cool to have the remote because if I'm always doing everything with my phone battery starts to wear out. If I'm skipping songs with my phone, the phone battery starts to wear out. Also, you can change the volume in finer increments with the remote control. So if you're going to buy the Eversolo Play, I highly recommend the $12 remote. I do have a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link that goes to Amazon. You pay the same money. I make a few cents on that $12 remote. That's how that works. Going on, what else can I tell you about it besides the really nice build quality, which I can't overstate enough. Compared to the WHIM, it's on another level in build quality. But I wanted to see how this box sounded because for $700 and under $800, I wasn't sure what to expect. So the first thing I did was hook it up to the Pure Audio Project Duet 15s. They're super easy to drive. Now that they're all fully burned in and open, they have a little bit of warmth to them. The treble smoothed out dramatically. I put the Play in, I hooked up the Ethernet cable, turned it on, and it said, oh, firmware update needed. So it did an update. It took about 10 minutes, and then it was ready to go. But if you get one of these, be prepared to do a firmware update out of the box. It might need that, but it only takes a few minutes. I queued up Spotify Connect, and I picked Erasure's the Neon Live album. Now this album is a little bit, the recording is a little bit tipped up. So they have a World Be Live that's a little bit warm. So there's 2 live albums from Erasure. One sounds warm and fat. One sounds a little more detailed and tipped up. I started with the detailed and tipped up. I put on the song Who Needs Love Like That, and I was just blown away. I couldn't believe the bass presence. I couldn't believe the fullness of the mid-range. And the treble was hotter than my reference Nagra gear, of course, but it was pleasing, and it turned this room again into a nightclub. Now, let me talk real quick. This is not going to bring an exotic or high-end sound. This is not high-end audio. This is a budget piece, and I would call it mid-tier in the hi-fi realm. sounds really, really good, but you're not going to get that big, immersive, wide sound stage, details floating in the air, the three-dimensional imaging. You're going to get some of that, but it's more subdued. The imaging is more rounded on the edges of the images. So say there's a big saxophone playing right to your left. It's not going to be as etched in that space. It's going to kind of blend in more. So this is not going to bring that ultra high-end sound. You're just going to get a little sliver of a taste of it. And that could lead you down a rabbit hole if you're just getting into this hobby. So I was listening to Who Needs Love Like That, and there's a part where the synths come on and they shot out, a little bit of 3D there. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. And, for this price point, I was blown away. I called Debbie in here and I said, this thing costs like under $800 and listen to what it sounds like. And of course, she was surprised by it as well. And she really, really liked it and thought it sounded great. I then moved to the Icon 12 speakers, which no one would ever pair this with on a permanent basis, but I have them here. They're my speakers. I have this here. I wanted to try it. I hooked it up to the speakers. I lost, compared to my reference, of course, I lost smoothness, refinement, three-dimensionality, layering, texture, all that stuff we attribute to high-end, but it was still very musical. I was tapping my feet. I was moving back and forth. The bass was very strong but controlled and tight. So this is more of a high-energy, exciting sounding piece than something that is duller or soft. Compared to the WIM stack, for example, the WIM had a gentler, softer sound. The Eversolo has a more dramatic, punchy, alive kind of sound. That's the difference in the sound quality between the two. So it was sounding really good, really good. I was listening to some acoustic music. I played Buddy Guy's Anna Lee, and it was very clear. Every guitar pluck was clean and clear. Buddy's voice was strong and rich. I then moved to the price-appropriate speakers, right? The ELAC DB63s. These are $500. They're harder to drive. I think they're 87 dB efficient. So I was a little nervous about that. ELAC says they're still easy to drive, and I didn't have a problem with driving these with any other amp I tried. So I put in the ELACs, and right now the system is about a $1,400 system for everything. Streaming, millions of songs at your fingertips. I used my $40 copper cables. First thing I noticed was I had to turn up the volume quite a bit more to get that mid-level of sound I like. So I was up on the volume dial like 3/4 of the way. And it was not loud, but it wasn't low volume. It was just right. I went to turn it up even more and I maxed out the volume and it got really loud, but it never got raggedy or edgy. The ELACs just pumped out a harder hitting bass and they sounded really, really cool in here. Now, I threw on some rock music now. I threw on Sabaton's 1916. You can hear this song in my title playlist over at Tidal. You can find it at HiFi Huff. It says HiFi Demo Songs. On my website, if you can't find it, in the menu I have a link. It says Demo Songs, and that link goes directly to the Tidal playlist. So I put on Sabaton, big guitars, big bass, massive voice, and it's a rock, kind of heavy metal song, and it sounded really good. I have to say, let me break into this video. I'm listening at low volume here in the room with the Eversolo Play hooked up to the ELACs, and they sound stunning right now at low volume. Beautiful. The house is quiet. I'm hearing transparency. I'm hearing even more of a 3D image at low volume than I was at high volume. I think that this amp would do amazing with a speaker like the Buchard S400 Mark II. But the ELACs were sounding really good. Not the most refined experience I've heard, but my ears have been spoiled by all this crazy exotic gear. But I also know when to appreciate budget gear. And this is a piece that I feel will be very important in bringing in a lot of new people into this hobby. And that's what this hobby needs. You know, I was reading a lot of articles over the past few months how a lot of audiophiles are dying off, in their 70s now, and I'm in my mid-50s. A lot of these guys are dying off. And the younger crowd, it's hard to get them into this kind of thing because everything costs so dang much, right? This is a product, $770, and it's all you need. Just add your speakers and cables, and you have a really kickin' first system. This is good for a first system. It's good for someone who wants to add a second system to a bedroom, a home office, something of that nature. Now, I wanted to put this Eversolo Play to the challenge, and I hooked up the Bucard E50s. Now, the E50s I feel are Bucard's best speaker. It's their flagship speaker. They have refinement, beautiful imaging, beautiful sound stage. They're clean and clear, but the bass goes super low. Amazing speakers, but Bucard says these need current more than watts to drive. Now, the Eversolo is not a high current amp. Something like the Luxman 509Z, the Nagra Classic, those are high current amps. The Live GAN M mono amps, those are high current amps. The Eversolo is not a high current amp. So when I put the Bucards in, I had the volume at like 90%, but it just kind of fell flat in here. The speakers didn't come to life. So I would not recommend this for Bucard E50s, but I doubt anyone who buys the E50s, their $4,000 speakers, is going to use the Eversolo Play. This box kind of does everything. It's a perfect all-in-one. It would be perfect for your kids, maybe a Christmas present, a graduation present. Maybe your son or daughter wants a sound system in their room. Back in the day, I had to have this big stack of stuff in my room. Today, you just need one little box. And that's what I'm excited about with the Eversolo Play. It's under $1,000, under 800 bucks, and all you got to do is add a pair of speakers. Now, I'm very picky when it comes to evaluating audio gear, and I have some high-end stuff, but again, as I said, I can appreciate budget gear, and I love budget gear that performs to a higher level than it costs. And if I were to choose today between the Wim Ultra and the Vibe Link or the Eversolo Play, I would take the Eversolo Play without question, even though it's like $140 more. Now, if you're on a lower strict budget, the Wim is fantastic too. It offers a lot of the similar things. It'll just have a little bit of a softer vibe about the sound. One other song, when I had the Duet 15s and I played By Hook or Crook by Jessica Pratt, and I'll show you a screen grab of casting it to my phone. And this song has a little bit of an ethereal vibe about it. With the Nagra gear, it's got this glow and it just comes out in 3D, and her voice is right in front of you singing, and you hear the instruments floating around, but there's body and warmth with that as well. Such refinement. Now, how did the Play do with that same song? I got a little bit of that. It sounded really good. I heard the spatial qualities to some extent. And it gives a flavor of higher end sound, but it's not going to give you the high end experience. But that's not what this is about at all. It's about getting people into hi-fi. It's about maybe you have a second system. Maybe you're dipping your toes in the water and you're not sure how much money you want to spend. That's what this piece is for. And it's absolutely brilliant. The app is smooth and responsive. Skipping songs is fairly quick, barely any lag, a quarter second at most. Scrubbing songs, if you want to skip to the middle of a song, quarter second maybe lag. Very, very acceptable, very, very good, especially compared to some of the earlier models that came out a year or two ago. This is a refined experience, though it's not the most refined in sound. But if you pair it with the right speakers, my guess is you can get a pretty close to high-end sound from this. So Eversolo has done it again. I think Eversolo's on fire. They're creating some really cool budget gear that's well worth the asking price. I'll have links to information below, the Eversolo website, a link to purchase if that's available, a link to more information if that's available. But if you like this video, thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you all so much.